What's up everybody, Derek here, and today I wanted to go over a couple tips that I have that I wish I would have known whenever I first got into kayak fishing. And I had to learn these tips the hard way. Getting skunked, zeroing, just not figuring out the fish, knowing they're in the lake or the river or wherever I was going and just not catching them. There were so many times that I went out and I was wondering what is going on, what am I doing wrong? And one of the first ones was I was not evaluating what stage the fish were in and taking into consideration the conditions that I was given. Whether you're in a kayak or you're in a boat, you always want to kind of think about whether it's going to be a windy day, a sunny day, breezy, overcast, warm, cold front moving in. There's so many different variables to take into consideration. And the one thing that I was doing was I wasn't taking those and then the stage that the fish would be in. I would think they're moving up shallow when they're actually still sticking deep. Not paying attention to water temperature and other little things. There's so many variables that can overwhelm you whenever you're out there fishing. And that's what I was doing, just not paying attention to those. So when you're in a kayak, you want to be protected a lot of the time and still have those areas where you can go find deep water, shallow water, and still get out there and catch those fish in one certain area, especially if you're trying to break down one small area to figure out the fish. And that's what I was just not doing effectively. So research your conditions and research the stage that the fish are in to figure out where they may be located. You know, one of the best tips that I actually have that helped me out the most was using wind to my advantage. Whether you're going down a point or you're going down a bank, you want to figure out which way that wind is blowing and use it to your advantage so you can kind of just coast down that bank and fish it as you're going along, because a lot of times when you're out there on that kayak and you're trying to keep yourself into position, or if the wind's coming, a headwind's coming at you and you're actually fishing into it, it's going to be so hard to fish. So if you're paddling, you want to get up there as far as you can and then basically let the wind take you and go back down. Go down with the wind, follow with the wind, and if you have to, if it's not a straight wind where it's paralleling the bank, you want to just use that one arm technique. Whether you can throw it out there and you can wind, use one arm with the paddle and just kind of work your way to where it's going to point yourself in the right direction or pull you away from where you're fishing a little bit. That's how I kept in the zone of the fish a lot longer, because the longer you can keep your bait in the area of the fish, then the more efficient and the more bites you may get. So something to definitely think about, and it definitely helps you out as the day goes along because it conserves your energy and you don't end up paddling as much as you need to. You know, for the kind of fishing that I do, one of the tips that I learned that I kind of came across as I started getting into the fish and I started figuring them out was current. It doesn't have to be a river or a creek coming in. It could just be wind that's being created against a point or coming around a bend, or just creating something in a pocket where there's some kind of movement of the water. And even some of the weird current that can be created is by powerboats, which is some of the most annoying when you're in a kayak. But it can create a mud line along the bank that can be just awesome for a bite, that those bass will be hiding in that muddy water and just attack over into clearer water. So that's one of the things that I really thought about whenever I started putting it all together, the complete puzzle, was that current. If I was having a tough time out there on the water, I'd go find a little bit of current or some moving water of some kind. I could usually find some more active fish. You know, kayak fishing takes a lot of energy out of you. I mean, you're basically out there casting and paddling all day long, and you're exerting a lot of calories just to be out there trying to catch fish. And not just on top of that, you're actually using your core more because you're trying to balance inside of those kayaks. It can be a little bit tippy. And one of the things that you got to think about is you don't want to be paddling around a tugboat. You want to be paddling something that's efficient, that can get to places, and it's not just draining on you. And that's where weight comes into the picture. You don't want to carry every tackle box, every lure, everything that you're going to be going out there trying to fish. And this kind of goes back to researching the conditions and, you know, everything that's presented with you whenever the fish are in that stage, so you can figure out what depth you're going to be fishing. What kind of areas you're going to be fishing. Is it moving baits? Is it slowing baits? All those little variables you have to throw into there. And the less of it, the better you're going to get around and the less energy you're going to exert, especially if it's 1 days, 2 days in a row. I mean, one day you can usually recover, but man, when you're paddling and casting all day, it really takes it out of you. So these are just some of the tips that I have to maybe help you guys get better along that I learned the hard way whenever I got into fishing. So let me know if you've gone through some of the same struggles that I've gone through, because it's been tough and it can be mentally exhausting. But thanks for watching, you guys, and subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you liked it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.